a question for y'all. Do y'all see the military currently resisting what is happening? No? That answers the question for ya. I just want to encourage you, one, to think about why you're engaging in this way. What's your hope in framing this in this way? Also, just real quick here, what's your basis for this little passive-aggressive answer here? What's your proof that the military is not currently resisting? Do our social media feeds look different? Because mine is just absolutely chock fucking full of active duty service members who are telling the American people, we know our oath to the Constitution. We know where our allegiance lies. Please, please, y'all, take a deep breath. I realize this is much more Knitting Cult Ladies' wheelhouse than it is mine. And my experience with the military is just being an Air Force brat, right? My dad spent 30 years in the Air Force. But it's the folks that have no connection to the military whatsoever. And again, I don't know from an anonymous account whether you have some kind of magical inside knowledge that is entirely different than what we're seeing from active duty service members and the families of service members. But there's actually been an awful lot of resisting from the military. Think back to Donald Trump's grotesque dictator-style military birthday parade and the malicious compliance that we saw from the Army. When we see service members given legal orders, they can't just refuse those because they don't like them. Just because you want the military to do something different. Just because you on the outside are not seeing something that satisfies your desire for certain behaviors that you personally expect, that doesn't mean that members of the armed forces are not resisting or that they are going along with the regime. Again, what is your goal? What are you hoping for with this, right? What are you hoping for? Are you like low-key crashing out and you want someone to justify your panic, to agree with you, to validate your like worst case scenario fears? Is that what you're hoping for? What is your goal? Because I have reached a point now where I'm just fucking fed up with people on social media who are not fucking locked in, right? Lock the fuck in and realize that what you say not only shapes your own mental outlook, it shapes other people's as well. If your words and your actions are not furthering the cause of restoring American democracy, protecting the most vulnerable, and stopping the authoritarian agenda of Donald Trump and his unelected goons, Stephen Miller and Russell Vought, I want you to sit and ask yourself, what the fuck are you doing? This is not about you feeling righteous on the internet or indulging your anger. This is not a thought exercise. This is just where I'm at today. I have very little patience right now in this moment for people who fail to understand that it's not so much what the regime tries to do, it is very much how we choose to respond. This is the moment where we need self-discipline, we need emotion regulation, we need to be strategic. The regime wants us to be in an incredibly escalated emotional state where we are on the verge or deep into a doom spiral constantly. They want us to be terrified. They want our fear and our terror to control us. I want y'all to understand that in any authoritarian regime, the reason that they are able to gain power and then hold on to it is because the people allow it. At the end of the day, not just the end of the day, right fucking now, we have the power. And that power has to start with us exercising discipline over our own emotions, over refusing to let the propaganda of the regime control us, over refusing to give them what they want. They want us to be 100% in emotion mind, crashing out, spiraling, scared, scaring and demoralizing other people. They want us to be so frightened that we start to do the work of the regime for them, that we start to become a mouthpiece for their propaganda, where our own fear takes us over and it runs us. So we just become this nonstop vomit machine, barfing up scary propaganda from the regime with no basis in fact. And it creates this doom loop, right? Because we're really scared. We spread that fear. Other people also become scared. And then we say, oh, I'm justified in my fear because look, all these people are afraid too. We're all going to be paralyzed together. We're all going to consistently spend our energy ruminating about, fantasizing about worst case scenarios instead of doing the necessary work that is required to stop the regime. All authoritarian regimes are like this, right? This is why there was the Third Reich Ministry of Propaganda. A fascist regime relies on propaganda. They rely on stoking your fear to paralyze you, to get you to lay down and stop resisting. They only come to power and maintain power because we allow it. They want you so frozen with fear that you allow them to do whatever they want. Cannot win as long as we continue fighting. And we are at a moment right now where they are cracking all over the place. They are absolutely panicking. As much of a little shitbag weasel as he is, I encourage you to go watch some clips from Stephen Miller from the last couple weeks. Read some of his social media posts because he is freaking the fuck out. These guys are all really scared because this is the moment where they are attempting to consolidate their power, and they've got to continue to ramp up their tactics more and more and more because they need us. They need us to fold. They need us to buckle. They need us to lay down. And we're not giving it to them. We're not doing it. We're not letting the fear override us. They're desperately trying to ramp up because they see how hard they're failing. They're like, oh shit, I thought they would have folded before now. I thought that we were big and scary enough, right? And in particular, this regime, they are very much a paper tiger. So they have to rely on demoralizing you, on scaring you into submission far more than anything else. That is the only real power that they have. At this moment, our self-discipline, our emotion regulation becomes paramount. I realize this may seem like a complete tangent from whatever you said here. It's actually entirely relevant. Keep your fucking eyes on the prize. Understand the assignment. I don't really give a shit how satisfying it is to get in a doom spiral, because on some level it is satisfying. That's why people go there. It does give you that adrenaline rush, and it also gives you permission to not have to act, to not have to struggle, to not have to exercise self-control. Our emotion minds want to take over. All of that propaganda has worked on us, and it requires self-discipline. It requires not indulging our fear and our anger. It requires labor, tremendous effort to stay controlled, to not entertain their propaganda, not entertain doomerism, not entertain the worst case scenarios, to not let our anger and fear run us. Y'all, that is work. And then on top of that, we have to do the work of actually engaging in the strategies, in the community building, in the organization that it takes to stop the regime. If you're in a doom spiral, you can just say, oh, it's hopeless, so I don't have to try. It gives me permission to not have to act. So I just want everybody to think about what you're doing. Are your words, are your actions helping the resistance movement? If they're not, I give zero fucks about how good it feels for you to go ahead and let loose of that control. I give zero fucks about how satisfying it is for you to feel really angry. And in many respects, I don't give a shit if you're afraid. I don't give a shit if you want to let your fear control you. Control your behavior, control your words. You can be scared. I'm often scared. I'm not saying that fear is not real. Fear should not dictate the things that we say online and the choices that we are making. The decisions that we make must be governed by strategy, must further the cause of helping defend our communities against Donald Trump. Your distress is really high in this moment, and you seek to relieve that distress by either leaning into, I was going to swear more, but I realized I already sworn more than my share in this video, by leaning into doomerism or advocating for violence, for riots, for actions that will sabotage the pro-democracy movement. Fucking stop. When we learn about distress tolerance skills, one of the big ones is opposite action. If your fear or your anger are telling you to take an action, a moment that will be satisfying, but in the long run, it will undermine the things that you want to do. It will sabotage the pro-democracy movement. It will harm other people that you should be in solidarity with. Do the opposite. Undertake the opposite action. So what would that look like in this scenario? What would that look like right here? I have my thoughts. You tell me though, what would that look like? Think about a time over the last few days where you've wanted to go to a place where you let your emotions run you. You just go ahead and give in to the propaganda of the regime and let it work on you. You just sit for a moment and think, how, if I had indulged that, how would that have harmed the movement and the people that I care about and am fighting for? And what is the opposite action that I should be taking right now in this moment to defend democracy, to defend my community?